Welcome to my channel Fly Little Birds, and we're heading for September, which is back to school. So this channel is all about adoption, fostering, childhood trauma, family life. I've got two sibling boys who are 12 and 13. So what will happen is we'll lead up to next week when we're due for them to go back to school, and to start with things will be okay, but then a few days beforehand what will happen is the anxiety levels will raise. So with the older one, he'll go more into himself and get a little bit more kind of downcast and sullen, and the younger one will be volatile, will be difficult, defiant. Let me know in the comments if you experience this with your children, and actually, to be honest, it could be any family that this happens with, but I think for adopted foster children it's just super difficult because they have so many issues to overcome on top of the other issues of going back into a new year group. So so he'll be very challenging, and there'll be lots of flitting around, running around the house, not able to settle to anything. Probably nearer the time we'll get a few nights where he wakes up with dreams, but we won't know what they're about. So it will get tense, it will get more difficult as we get near to it. So the good thing about school for them is they're really good with structure and routine if they know what there is to expect. I guess going into a new year group, there is a lot of unexpected things they don't understand, and they'll have different teachers, they'll possibly be in different classrooms, so they won't like that not knowing. But once they get into it, for the first few weeks, they do well. And actually they enjoy the first few weeks because they get to meet their friends again. They'll come home and tell us all the stories about the good stuff and the bad stuff, but for the first few weeks they'll be quite positive. After a while, everything will just get kind of more difficult for them, and the little one will start falling out with different friendships. He has got a great sense of injustice, so anything that goes wrong, or anybody who says anything wrong or does anything wrong, he's straight on it. Unfortunately, he can't necessarily see that in himself, he can't necessarily reflect back on him, and so he will fall out with quite a lot of people quite quickly. And we will then have him coming home and being very explosive. It might not happen when he first walks through the door, but it will certainly happen at some point in the evening. He'll have a big meltdown. So we've been given some tools to think about from when he's had his recent assessment, where the diagnosis was not autism, was not ADHD, it was childhood development trauma. We were given some tools around that, some things that we were told that we could use, questions and answer books, things on the walls for him to look at. So if he's struggling with getting ready for school or struggling when he gets home from school, stuff that he can see visually to help him kind of work through different processes. We were also advised to maybe get him some sort of cocooning, so that could be a weighted blanket, it could be a beanbag, or it could be an area. Because at the moment, kind of what we do is we have calm areas. My house is set up in a way, I don't really want to show you today because it's fairly tidy, but it's probably not as tidy as what I'd want it to be if I showed you. But I have kind of like quite a lot of plants around, and there are areas where I know work really well for both boys, where they actually spend time together. So there's a settee where they always sit in the living room. There's areas which kind of work for them in their own bedrooms. We were told to think about things that can cocoon the younger one particularly. The older one wouldn't want that, but the younger one definitely could benefit from that. We will set up things to be very tight when they go back to school. When I mean tight, boundaries will be very tight. There'll be little room for manoeuvre. So if they come home and they seem all over the place, so for the older one that would look like he would kind of scoot upstairs really quickly, not show me what is in his bag, and just try to get onto the computer really quickly. Now that is partly peer pressure, but that's partly him not being able to cope with the idea that actually he may have homework, and he's going to go into year 9, so he's 13, he can't just not do it. But for him, sometimes he thinks if he blocks it out, it won't be there, so he'll run quickly up the stairs, try and get on the computer quite quickly, say that he's done everything, but when I check back, he won't have done everything. And for the younger one, he'll come in and start making like demands, lots of demands, which you will never satisfy, because actually what it is anxiety. And so what we will have to do is, after a few weeks, when things start going downhill, we will have to spend a lot of time with them. and we will have to be alongside them a lot, talking to them about things, getting them to open up if they can. If they can't, just spending time and being quite present in the moment for them. Some more good things about school is when they do build up a good relationship with a teacher, they really rate that teacher and they rate that relationship more than most children would. So I know for my older son, he really enjoys his tutor group, which has stayed the same throughout the whole of schooling, and he speaks so highly of this teacher that you would think that she was a relative. And that's really lovely because that's somebody that you trust in the school. And also that happens with teachers, more so with a younger one. If he rates a teacher, thinks they're really good, he'll actually say, oh, I really like that teacher, they're a really good teacher. So they're allowing other adults into their life to be a good positive influence for them. And I do find with my boys, sometimes they are better with adults or younger children than their own age. So if they find an adult in school that they really rate and really get on well with, then that's a really positive thing for them. They have formed friendships. They do have friends that they relate to and they talk about, but of course friendships can be quite toxic, can be persuasive, and when you have children who, for want of a better word, can't always stand up for themselves and can't always have the cognitive awareness to actually know what's going on around them, then that's not always a positive thing, and we have to keep a really tight eye on those friendships as well. It can be sometimes that we find that our boys are being manipulated into things which are not suitable for them, they're not ready for, and we have to work quite hard to pull that back. So that friendships can be a positive and a negative in school. So guys, I wish you all the best with the start of school if it's already happened. If you're fostering or adopting, of course you're not alone in the experiences that you have, and I hope this channel will show you that you're not alone. If you check out some of my playlists, you'll see all the experiences that we go through as a family. So I'll link our adoption stories at the end, and that is stories about our whole journey really, from the beginning to all the different things that we've gone through when we first had our boys as fostered boys in the beginning. So thank you for watching Fly Little Birds, and I'll see you on my channel. Thank you.